Hey everybody, it's Brian from Cruisin with the Colemans. Our Coachmen Apex 269 RBKS came with a gigantic booth dinette that was just too much wasted space that we didn't need. We rarely eat at our dining room table. Most of the time we're eating outside at the picnic table or around the campfire, or on a rainy night we're usually eating in our recliners watching TV. So we decided to get rid of all of that wasted space and create a much better space for us. Now, you can watch our demolition video linked up above to show you some of the different versions of our dinette that we've had, because we've gone through a couple of different ideas thinking that it was going to be the perfect thing, but I think we finally settled on this RecPro Charles series dinette that is going to be perfect for us. Take a look at how we tore out the old dinette in that video. We want to show you how easy it is to install these dinette sets if you ever think about tearing yours out and putting a new one in. Let's get started. Of course, every RV is different, but removing the old dinette usually is not going to be too difficult. There's some bolts in the floor, some lag bolts that just screw it right down into the floor. Now, our original dinette was a lot of cabinetry work, so there were a lot of screws and a lot of lumber that we had to remove as we took it out, but it made for a great bonfire that night. Part of the process here has to involve moving the leg because the new dinette's going to end up being a little bit wider. The leg is going to move from here to probably about there. But also, our old dinette, we decided to do a one-leg table, and we've decided that that was not a good idea because the table was rocking this way a little bit just from use, and you can see it marked up our wall a couple of spots. Having a two-leg table is going to keep that from happening. In order to put in the wider dinette, we needed to reduce the size of the couch by a couple of inches. So, oh look, granddaughter's Cheerios. Oh, so nice. We're just gonna slide this new one in and lock it in place. We've gotten a lot of questions about, do we have our sofa recliners bolted to the floor? And the answer to that is no. There is an option to do that. There are holes in the base of the sofa if you wanted to put lag bolts into your floor. We've never bolted ours down, and we've never had a problem with it walking across the room. And it does make it a little easier not being bolted down if we wanted to remove the whole thing to vacuum up Cheerios once or twice a year. The most complicated part of the entire project is figuring exactly where the second booth goes. First booth is right up against the wall, so I just snugged it in as tight as I could, put it down. But now to get the second booth in place, you need to measure your table so that you know the distance between the two rails for converting the whole thing into a bed. So we've got the first booth in, the second one is already kind of measured into place, and then we just check it out. Now you want to make sure that as you're tightening it down, you don't move it, because that's going to create a problem for making a bed later on. Now, the only thing that the dinette booths did not come with are the mechanisms to bolt them down to the floor. So what I'm using is an angle bracket. Pick these up at the local hardware store. So I'm going to use 1.5 inch lag bolts to bolt down into the floor, and then screws that came with these to screw into the side of the inside rails on the dinette set. That's going to keep it from wiggling around a little bit and creating a problem. In order to make the dinette booths the right size to fit through the door, they do come in a couple of different pieces. The base is all one solid piece, already completely manufactured, but the back is its own separate part. So all we have to do is set it up here on top, and there are 3 metal brackets that are already attached. You just slide them up into place and screw the whole thing down. When attaching the side part, you're going to notice that the holes don't line up. You just have to slide it forward until they do, and then you'll be able to get it into place. Now we put the cushion on, and the dinette booth, the bench, all done. Let's move on to the table legs. If you're replacing your dinette set with a third-party company like RecPro, you're never going to get an exact match of the tabletop to your countertops that are existing in your RV. So we made the conscious decision to go with a completely contrasting. So this dark color with the light accents matches our light counter with dark accent countertops. We felt pretty well. Plus, with all of this cream on this entire side of the RV now, with all of our furniture, we felt like the dark tabletop kind of helped balance everything out. The table comes ready to have the legs installed, but nothing is marked or put on. So what I'm going to do is start off by measuring across to find the center line, and then I'm going to divide the table into thirds and put the 2 table legs at the third markers. The table came with some 3/4 number 8 screws, but I prefer something a little heavier duty to hold the table really securely, so I bought some number 10s instead. They cost about $1.95, I think, at the hardware store. This particle board on the tabletop is really kind of tough to drill into with the screws, so I went ahead and marked them, and now I'm going to pre-drill my holes. Make sure you don't go all the way through the table. That would be bad. My tabletop is 30 inches wide, so my booth bases are exactly 30 inches apart because I needed to sit down on these rails when we convert it into a bed. I've measured 15 inches and put a piece of painter's tape down, and now I'm going to just re-measure to make sure that it's centered and mark my spot at the 15-inch mark so that I know right where the center is. Because my tape didn't lay down exactly straight. Now this next part is a 2-person job, so I'm going to call my able-bodied assistant to come and help. That'd be you.
Able-bodied assistant.
That'd be you. We're going to put them approximately where they go. We're going to set this on top and then center the whole thing. I've got 1 1/4 inch screws that are going to go into the floor. I know this is the right size because it's the screws that we took out from the old table, and I measured them so I know that they're correct, and I won't go into my slide out to a depth that's going to scratch up my flooring. So I've lined my holes up straight with my center line on both sides. I've also checked against the wall so that I'm an even distance from the wall on the left and the right side of the table. Now I'm just going to put in a couple of screws to get it marked into place, and then I'll pull the tape out so that I don't have any sticking out from underneath. Now it's time to put the rest of the screws in and tighten things down. Easy as that, and now we've got plenty of space to sit here and work. 4 people can sit at this table with no problem playing games or enjoying a nice dinner in the campground. The only thing I have to do now that we've moved the center of the table is move this lamp over. So I'm going to put some wood fill up here and just move that over. This is also an upgrade that we've done because our old dinette had a different center to it also. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions, leave them down below. We're happy to talk to you about how we did it. Make sure you check out our playlist of helpful hints and tips, and make sure you check out our full slide out demolition and renovation videos that are linked down below in the description. See you on our next adventure.